In 2004, a tiny plastic relic washed up on the sun-drenched shores of Australia, carrying a chilling secret from the abyss. This was no ordinary debris. It was a pop-up satellite archival tag, PSAT, the black box of Alpha, a majestic 3-meter female great white shark, the weight of which can reach up to 2.3 tons. For months, it had been the silent witness to her royal procession through the ocean. Alpha was suddenly dragged down to a crushing depth of 580 meters. And as the pressure mounted, the sensor recorded a chilling anomaly. The ambient temperature spiked to a sweltering 25.5 degrees Celsius, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Alpha wasn't just defeated, she was swallowed whole. In the unforgiving theater of evolution, great whites are the undisputed directors, not the victims. They are the nightmare of the sea, the apex predators that have spent 400 million years perfecting the art of the kill. So what kind of leviathan possesses the sheer power to turn a super predator into a mere midday snack? To comprehend why Alpha's disappearance sent shockwaves through the halls of marine biology, we must first discard the cinematic cliché of the mindless, sluggish monster. In my eyes, a 3-meter great white is nothing less than the F-35 Lightning II of the ocean, a pinnacle of bioengineering refined over hundreds of millions of years to achieve absolute perfection. Beneath the shimmering veil of Australian waters, Alpha glided like a ghostly engine of muscle, silent and invisible. If you were to touch her skin, a venture I strongly advise against, you would feel millions of microscopic teeth called dermal denticles. These aren't just for show. They act as a biological stealth suit, neutralizing water resistance and allowing her to hit 60 kilometers an hour with a mere flick of her tail. Imagine an armored truck weighing nearly a ton, accelerating with the explosive grace of an Olympic cyclist on a highway. That is the sheer kinetic energy Alpha unleashed upon her prey. Yet, speed is only a fraction of her brilliance. It is her radar system that truly commands our respect. Clustered around Alpha's snout are jelly-filled pores, known as the ampullae of Lorenzini. They are so sensitive they can detect the faint electromagnetic pulse of a terrified fish's heartbeat buried under the sand, or even the subtle fluctuations of Earth's magnetic field. For Alpha, the ocean was never dark. She perceived the world through a vibrant, thrumming grid of electricity, a sensory superpower that modern military engineers can only dream of replicating. And then, of course, there's the heavy artillery, the jaws. Alpha wielded over 300 triangular razor-sharp teeth, arranged in multiple backup rows like preloaded ammunition clips. Should a tooth chip during a bone-crushing strike, the one behind it immediately slides forward to take its place. With a bite force of approximately 4,000 newtons, she could puncture thick seal blubber or snap the spine of a giant fish as if it were a twig. Compare this to our human teeth, where a single pebble in your rice sends you crying to the dentist, and you realize the great white's dental system is a marvel of endurance and lethality. With such a lethal arsenal, Alpha should have been the one writing the laws of the deep. However, the history of evolution teaches us a bitter lesson. There's always a bigger fish lurking in the shadows. Alpha's disappearance is more than a biological loss. It is ironclad evidence of an entity more terrifying than anything in our current scrolls of knowledge. So, if not a lone warrior, could the culprit be an elite squad of superior intellect? To find our answer, we must turn to the first suspect on our blacklist, the creatures known as the wolves of the sea, clad in their iconic black and white uniforms. Did an orca truly orchestrate the abduction and digestion of Alpha at the kill zone? Let us cross-examine these titans next. As we transition from the dry ink of data sheets to the salt-sprayed reality of the abyss, filmmaker David Riggs and his team have embarked on a daring quest to revisit the very heart of the crime scene. Their vessel surged toward the rugged coast of southern Australia, piercing the center of a gargantuan underwater canyon known to local fishermen by a name that haunts the spirit, the kill zone. There is no mere coordinate on a sterile map. It is a gladiatorial arena submerged beneath thundering waves, where darkness and bone-crushing pressure conspire to stifle the hopes of the weak. Beneath that veil of sapphire water, the scenery unfolds like a grand, menacing science fiction epic. The subterranean valley is a sprawling geological scar where the Earth's crust thins to a whisper, allowing magma-heated gases to bleed through stone fissures and create ghostly, shimmering plumes of water. To me, this is a biological Manhattan, a bustling high-stakes oasis in the middle of a watery desert that draws millions of creatures, from microscopic plankton to gargantuan leviathans, to a frenzied, endless banquet. Imagine standing in the center of Times Square at peak rush hour, but instead of hurried commuters, you're surrounded by sleek killing machines prowling with hollow stomachs. To penetrate the territory of such a formidable adversary, the expedition had to deploy a fortress of steel and fiberglass, reinforced to withstand the ocean's powerful forces. The metal screeched in a high-pitched protest as the cage sank into the murky depths, the golden sunlight fading until it was devoured by the bruised purple of the deep. At a depth of 20 meters, they were suddenly besieged by 40 whale sharks, massive spotted zeppelins of the sea. But this was merely the opening act. As they sank further, the pressure began to hammer against eardrums and hulls alike, a stark reminder that we humans are but uninvited guests in a kingdom built for giants. It is here that we must begin to dissect the thermal paradox etched into Alpha's GPS tag. At a depth of 580 meters, the ocean is an industrial-strength refrigerator, cold enough to seize a professional swimmer's muscles in minutes. Yet the entity that consumed Alpha radiated a cozy 78 degrees Fahrenheit. This proves our suspect is no ordinary cold-blooded fish or a drifting block of ice. It's here that we must begin to dissect the thermal paradox etched into Alpha's GPS tag. It must be a biological marvel capable of elite thermal regulation. This evolutionary masterstroke allows it to maintain lightning-fast digestion and muscle power even in the most unforgiving environments. Finding that heat in the abyss is like walking into a walk-in freezer and discovering a steaming space heater hidden in the corner. However, the kill zone does not surrender its secrets to a few casual dives. As the research team watched, massive 10-meter silhouettes glide just beyond the reach of their floodlights, they realized they weren't just searching for the truth. They were face to face with creatures capable of shredding their steel cage like a tin can. We must now turn our attention to the first name on our list of prime suspects: the orcas, masters of the most brutal tactical warfare on the planet. In the investigator's black book, the first name to appear with an aura of threatening authority is the orca, killer whale. Do not let their friendly appearance in marine theme parks deceive you. In the wild, they are the true wolves of the sea, oceanic strategists endowed with chemical social intelligence and bodies weighing up to 10 tons. If a great white shark like Alpha is a formidable, solitary heavyweight boxer, then a pod of orcas is an elite special forces squad, perfectly synchronized to take down targets many times their own size. A mature male orca can weigh as much as 2 African elephants, yet it streaks through the water with an aerodynamic precision of a carbon fiber arrow. The orca's most terrifying weapon is not merely its rows of conical teeth. But its profound understanding of its opponent's biological vulnerabilities. They utilize a masterful technique known as tonic immobility. By striking a shark with calculated force and flipping it on its back, they trigger a neurological glitch that plunges the predator into an instant catatonic coma. It's like knowing the exact location of a hidden kill switch that deactivates the entire electrical system of an armored truck with a single touch. Once the shark is paralyzed, the orcas proceed with surgical precision to remove the nutrient-rich liver. However, since science is an impartial judge and the thermal data from Alpha's tag serves as an ironclad alibi for the orca in this specific case, orcas are fully warm-blooded mammals, maintaining a steady internal furnace of approximately 100 degrees Fahrenheit to power their genius-level brains. If Alpha had truly ended up inside an orca's stomach, the GPS tag would have recorded a sweltering fever, far higher than the 78 degrees Fahrenheit we actually observed. Attempting to convict the orca for Alpha's disappearance is like trying to solve a math problem where the basic numbers simply refuse to align. The culprit must be something else, an entity with a heater that is far more modest yet far more mysterious. As these black and white sovereigns exit the witness stand, the shadows of the case grow even denser, pulling us further down into the territory of suspects that are colder, darker, and perhaps more ancient. It is the killer hiding behind massive barbed tentacles or within a prehistoric jaw that has refused to stay buried in the fossil record. As the warm-blooded assassins of the surface provide their ironclad alibis, we must extinguish our flashlights, hold our breath, and dive deeper into the very nursery of nightmares. The next suspect to emerge from the vicious, ink-like darkness is the sperm whale, Physeter microcephalus, a titan capable of plunging to staggering depths of 2,000 meters, weighing as much as 6 African elephants and possessing the largest brain on the planet. This creature is a biological nuclear submarine in every sense of the word. Imagine a predator that can emit acoustic pulses so powerful they can stun prey instantly, a form of sonic weaponry that human engineers are still desperately trying to replicate in their naval labs. However, I must admit the sperm whale is a gentle giant, at least when it comes to sharks. Their narrow lower jaws, lined with conical teeth, are masterfully designed to suction and grip slippery, soft-bodied squid, not to tear through the muscular, armored frame of an agile athlete like Alpha. Furthermore, their mammalian physiology maintains a constant internal furnace of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, a number that once again overshoots our mysterious 78 degrees Fahrenheit signature by a significant margin. For a sperm whale to suddenly pivot its diet from squid to great white sharks would be as absurd as walking into a fine Italian restaurant and trying to order a side of computer components. Leaving these warm-bodied leviathans behind, we encounter the true sovereign of the 600-meter mark, the colossal squid. This is a creature that seems to have crawled directly out of the ink-stained pages of Jules Verne's novel, equipped with eyes the size of dinner plates and tentacles armed with swiveling razor-sharp hooks. It possesses the hardware to entangle Alpha in a lethal embrace and shred her hide with a beak as hard as industrial steel. Yet the ultimate biological notebook remains: squids are ectotherms, cold-blooded. In these frigid, bone-chilling waters, their stomachs simply cannot function as a mobile space heater. Physics does not lie. A swimming iceberg cannot generate the cozy, tropical warmth of life recorded on that tag. The deadlock of our modern suspects pushes us toward a much more dramatic crossroad in our investigation. If the culprit does not belong to the world we think we know, could it be a survivor from an era when true monsters ruled the waves? Could the megalodon, the great ghost of the Pliocene, still be silently watching us from the unexplored trenches of the abyss? It is time to face the most audacious and perhaps most terrifying hypothesis of all. As our modern suspects present their ironclad thermal alibis, our curiosity is forced to drift into the ink-black corridors of geological history to search for a living fossil lurking in the unexplored trenches. We naturally gravitate toward the Pliocene nightmare known as the megalodon, a 13-meter ancestor of the great white that was supposedly erased from the planet 2.5 million years ago. With a bite force equivalent to a falling 11-ton cruise ship anchor, this leviathan didn't just hunt, it pulverized, chewing through the rib cages of great whales as easily as we might crunch on a digestive biscuit. However, the Museum of Horrors beneath the waves has more than one resident ghost, and I must introduce to you Leviathan melvillei, a raptorial whale with a jaw full of calcium swords larger than a human forearm. A fossilized tooth of this behemoth was actually discovered in Melbourne, Alpha's own backyard, serving as a chilling memento of an era when 17.5-meter monsters turned the sea into a battlefield. Imagine a creature the size of a double-decker bus, possessed of mammalian intelligence and a bite strong enough to implode the chest cavity of any rival. If Leviathan still drew breath, swallowing a 3-meter shark would be a mere light appetizer before the main course. From Aristotle's ancient accounts of colossal sea serpents to modern deep-sea footage of squids reaching 26.5 meters, the ocean seems to delight in mocking our scientific confidence. We often remind ourselves that we have only explored 5% of the deep, so we must be careful not to dismiss the impossible too quickly. Yet, as a man of science, I must drag us back to the stubborn reality of that 78-degree Fahrenheit thermal reading. This temperature remains a biological bottleneck. It is significantly too chilly for a high-metabolism mammal like Leviathan, which burns at a steady 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's too far tropical for a cold-blooded squid, a 39.2 degree Fahrenheit abyss. This thermal stalemate leads us to a narrower, more disturbing path where the truth isn't found in cinematic monsters, but in a predator that shares Alpha's own bloodline. When the ghosts of the past retreat into the shadows, we are left with a warmer-blooded killer that has evolved its own unique way to keep the furnace burning. We're about to unmask the cannibalistic titan that truly owns the kill zone in the final chapter of our investigation. As the prehistoric ghosts dissolve into the midst of skepticism, a jarring conclusion finally surfaces from the deep. The one who ended Alpha was a cannibal great white shark. In this realm of eternal hunger, compassion is a luxury no predator can afford. To a 5-meter, 2-ton titan, a 3-meter shark like Alpha is nothing more than a mobile package of high-grade protein. I must admit, this reality is often more visceral and brutal than any cinematic horror humans could ever dream up. But how does a supposedly cold-blooded creature possess a stomach burning at a tropical 78 degrees Fahrenheit? The secret lies in a miraculous heat exchange system called the rete mirabile. I think of their bodies as a sophisticated biothermal power plant where interlaced blood vessels capture heat generated by swimming muscles to warm the internal organs. I call this phenomenon gigantothermy. Imagine a massive stone fireplace. The larger the structure, the better it retains heat, allowing these massive sharks to maintain lightning-fast digestion and reflexes in the freezing abyss. Yet the figure of 78 degrees Fahrenheit remains a defiant challenge thrown at us by the deep, as a standard great white stomachs rarely exceed 69.8 degrees Fahrenheit. This suggests the existence of super predators out there, evolutionary outliers that perform the shadow justice of the dark, possessing mechanisms that far outstrip our current textbooks. We pride ourselves on mastering the planet with GPS and satellites, but the case of Alpha serves as a cold splash of reality to our collective ego. As we conclude this journey, I want us to hold on a necessary sense of humility. The ocean does not require human permission to operate its harsh and wondrous laws. We are not here to dominate, but to observe and protect this fragile equilibrium. Remember, in the grand library of nature, we are still only leafing through the table of contents. Farewell, and always look deeper into the water, for secrets are always lingering just beneath your feet.